Today's episode is brought to you by MTDCNC, the go-to platform covering the latest stories in the world of manufacturing.
Welcome to another MTD podcast. My name is Rowan Easter-Robinson, a proud member of the MTD team. I'm here with Ryan, with Geoff, with Paul, all managing directors of really prestigious companies, all working in technical partnership at a fascinating company where we've come to today. It's Jota Advanced Engineering. And Ryan, where are we now? You've moved recently, haven't you?
Yeah, so it's been a bit of a journey since we've last seen you. We're now in the East Sussex, on the south coast in Hastings. And I believe
it's absolutely beautiful. A brand new building. I'll introduce all of our guests in a little bit, but the brand new building and some amazing machinery. We've seen some massive growth here. We're going to be talking about that throughout the podcast, and more about kind of how that growth has been enabled by the tech partners that we've got in front of us here through Geoff and Paul. But first of all, Ryan, could you introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Yeah, so I'm Ryan Goodger, Managing Director of Jota Advanced Engineering. I head up the day-to-day running and strategical planning for the business.
Yeah, and for those who might recognise Jota, I love watching motorsport, but I'm not a massive fan. I don't follow it that much. But some people who are in the industry who watch at least a little bit will know Jota really well, won't they?
We race in the WEC World Endurance Championship, and this season newly with Cadillac.
Yeah, which is fantastic. Last time we saw you with some different kinds of cars, with the Porsches, and they were really cool. I've yet to see a Cadillac yet today. Hopefully you'll give us a little tour later. But yeah, as well as the racing doing really well this year in Le Mans, there's a lot happening in the engineering side of the race team as well, which is what we're going to be talking about today. I'm also joined by two very esteemed guests here. We've got Geoff Gartland and Paul Stevens. Now, Geoff, could you give us a little intro to yourself, please?
Yeah, I'm Managing Director of PSL Datatrack. We provide business solutions, so production control software, to subcontract precision engineers. And we've been working with Ryan. We've known you at Jota for some 9 years now.
Yeah, and Mac 2016, wasn't it?
I'm pretty sure that was the one. And then I came down to see you shortly after, and that's where it all went from. The change in your business in that time has been phenomenal. And the time we spent having discussions about how to change things, improve things, has been invaluable. If you can't improve something, why are you doing it? It's great to see.
Absolutely, really. Yeah. And I guess, Paul, could you give us an introduction to yourself? You've been working with Jota for about the same amount of time.
So, no, we're very lucky. We've been working with Jota since 2016 as well. And we've been able to watch as well the growth of the business and the development, which has been fantastic. So we've been supporting with the ISO compliance. So AvISO, we help companies implement and maintain various frameworks, including ISO and for Jota, ISO 9001.
Yeah, and you're not specifically focused just on subcontract engineering as well. You work with almost all B2B.
We work with pretty much any B2B client. So we do quite a lot in the automotive sector, but also professional services, manufacturing. So it's a real varied mix, but that helps us bring lots of different experience, things we see in lots of different industries, and share them across the different companies we support.
Yeah, absolutely. And those kinds of systems are still really important, whether you're in professional services or in real precise manufacturing, just like here at Jota. Could you give us a quick lowdown, Ryan, on since this is a different division to the race team, what do you do here?
So Jota Advanced Engineering, we're not only manufacturing for our race team, we manufacture for any race team, any sector. I mean, predominantly our heritage is in motorsport and automotive, but we do look at different areas of the business, particularly keen in aerospace at the moment, and it's one of the directions that we're pushing the company to go in. That's sort of an overview on what we're doing and where we're at.
Yeah, and when we before we first came to you, when you started the company, it was about 13 years ago, right? Could you tell us a little story, just a real potted history of what happened from you starting at Jota Advanced Engineering and where you are now?
Yeah, so when we started Jota Advanced Engineering, initially we were 4 machines, a copy of Microsoft Office, some Excel documents. Very new to the sector, but we'd done a good job. We'd done well on what we made, motorsport, everything's about delivering on time, getting to the track, and we kind of carried that into the manufacturing sector.
We've all got the fast turnaround.
Fast turnaround, attention to detail, quality of the components. That sort of led us to the growth where we were. Partly, obviously, again, meeting Geoff. When Geoff first come in, I'd say we had 4 machines. An Excel package. We were doing quotes on spreadsheets, just using a document management system. And what we recognised is we need to streamline things, we need a system to control that. That was very much the start of it. And through the time period, I think we went into 2017, landed quite a big program for an OEM, again, motorsport. But advanced, moved up to 7 machines, run through that, started growing the business, employing more people. We also, 2016, I believe, Paul, we also met, and Paul helped us on the journey to implement ISO 9001 to a UCAS accreditation, which we were successful in. And as the journey went on, I mean, there's so many things that's happened, but
it's hard to.
It is to summarise from when we first met, and where we are now. It's such a lot to touch on, but yeah, we are come 2024 taking ownership of this new premises on the south coast, and we're now up to 17 CNC machines, and this is just the start of the next journey for us.
Yeah, it's definitely a new chapter. It's a really exciting one, and it's amazing when we came up here today, seeing the size of the building, the quality of life for the people working here as well is fantastic. So it's really nice to see companies do really well and also pay that on to the people who've helped them, yourself and also all your operators and admin staff and everyone involved.
It's so important, you want a team to be happy at work. If a team are happy at work, and they're going to work hard for you because they want to do a good job. Yeah. And that's part of our growth, we always try and look after our people or our partners and just work well. It's, we're at work a lot of our life, so why not be happy in what you're doing?
Yeah, and so we've got 2 of those technical partners with us in Geoff and Paul. How important do you think they were in that? I guess that might have been a turning point in the history of Jota, where Geoff came to visit and saw you were doing everything on Excel spreadsheets. You had 4 CNC machines, but you were primed to grow and keep serving really strong customers with amazing components. Was that a bit, Geoff, do you think that was a bit of a turning point? What was that for you like?
I think it was. I think, if I look back to when I first came into the premises, you showed me your order book management and so on, there was limited growth in how you were managing the business at that point, but it got you to where you were. Hence we got involved in discussions about how we could help take the business on to the next stage. And that's really where, I think chapter 2 maybe of Jota Advanced Engineering came from.
And that's what we kind of needed that. The thing was what we see when we had 4 machines, and that there was only so far we could get. So if we wanted to grow, we needed a system of control. And the thing that we liked about PSL, it was modular. You didn't have to go in and buy a big grand system at the beginning. It could be tailored to a small 4 machine company, but then could be scalable as we went on, and we could add additional modules. And I think that was one of the attractive bits for us, as well as your demo, Geoff.
Oh, thank you, Ron.
Came in with a nice suit, looking suave.
Did I wear a suit?
Now Paul's the one looking suave today. Yes, and then was that quite important, the fact that they could tailor it to the business and the fact that the customization was an option? I mean, how much did you ask for in terms of customization?
At the start, there was one level of customization with just some custom reporting and some stuff that we wanted to see, and we've actually still used that now. But it weren't until the partnership started growing there that we then started brainstorming, because with anything, you try and fix things or you see things you can do better. And the stuff that we like is the status boards that you can pull out of PSL, And I think to explain it best, Geoff, it's what data is most important to you brought to life. It's always live. It's on a monitor. It's not archived, or you've not got to go through report generators to get that data. which is all good, but you have to plan then. If someone pulls you away from what you're doing, because we're all busy, let's face it, we forget to do that. So what we sort of see is, let's get them boards to life. So it's not in one person's head, it's a team thing. The team can see the boards and dive into exactly what's going on and just try and improve things in that area. I mean, we monitor a lot of metrics through our status board, so time planning, shop floor data collection. The guys are clocking on, but they're getting live feedback from performances, not necessarily the guy's fault. It could be a brand new job, a bad process. We might need to reinvent that, but the data's all there and we can capitalize on that data.
So Geoff, is that something you think you see kind of across the board as the customers, they want customization, but they all agree that live data is really important?
I think it is. I think in terms of decision making, if something's printed, it's out of date. So live data from the shop floor really is key, but you need the shop floor staff to buy into the source of data, why they should be feeding it with response times they clock on, they clock off and so on. It needs to be a discipline that they follow for a good reason.
Yeah, like a data-driven culture.
It is a data-driven culture. And then they get to see the analysis that then Ryan's able to come back with and so on. And they can see, it's almost a cyclic process. They can see it's benefiting the business, making things more streamlined.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess the fact that you're getting real data showing how jobs are flowing through the shop floor every day is quite important when it comes to the ISO audit process. Paul, we've not talked so much about ISO yet. Let's bring you in. So you worked with Jota a while ago now to get their certification. What's the process like, and why should companies bother with ISO certification?
I think we've been very lucky to work with Jota since 2016 and be a small part of this journey, which has been fantastic. And I think 9001 or ISO certification, it helps prove to your customers, it gives credibility. It shows that you've been impartially audited, you've been inspected, you are following those processes. But more, what we're talking about here is that continual improvement. 9001 is based on continual improvement. And the data that's being generated now, the information that gives, enables the business to continually improve reaction times, to reduce the number of non-conformities, to also to engage the team. So all these things fit so well with 9001. But yeah, for businesses to have this certification, I think on a purely practical level, it can make tendering much, much quicker. So, have you got it? Yes. If not, move on. Also, Jota, you say this is phase 2, but phase 3, that continued growth, the compliance piece is going to develop further. 9001 is the foundation. You can build those other components on to help the business grow. So it's a fantastic base for companies, and yeah, a great piece of promotional material to show you're doing what you say you're doing, really.
It's definitely a great case study. And when you two first made aware of each other, I guess was when you were looking at getting the certification for Jota. And were you asking for different bits of evidence? And I guess, Geoff, were you trying to make that possible to get from PSL?
I think in terms of the evidence that we were providing, or the system was providing, that came through requests from Ryan, not direct from Paul. And it was then later that we obviously got some contact. And it was actually an idea that was going through our minds, and we stumbled across it. It shows that SEO works.
Yep.
Because we found Jota on your website. I thought, that's interesting. I had a chat with Ryan. And that's what we thought, well, look, there's real synergy between what you do in terms of helping customers gain accreditation, how the business management system, production control system, helps provide the evidence. And the whole thing then benefits the customer, Jota.
Yeah. Some of the things we sort of see is obviously working with Paul and his team and the things we needed to do to meet the standards. And then we talk to Geoff, hang about, we don't want to make more Excel sheets or compile things. We need this to be in the system. So it's live data, it's all coming through. And I mean, it's great from an audit point of view as well. So if everything's in the system, and we've been complimented many times by the accrediting bodies that have come in to audit us, about how smooth the system is. If they've asked for that level of evidence, because it's very much Paul and his team will help build our standards and how we're working and our SOPs. But an auditor, they can read that. They want to see, right, show me what you're doing. How are you doing it? And PSL, it's kind of been great to just get that evidence straight out in front of them.
I think that point you make, it's 9001 ISO has a legacy history of being bureaucratic, paperwork, but it's not. It's about showing you've identified risks and opportunities in your business And it's showing that you're monitoring around those areas, you've got real data. It's about evidencing, saying what you're doing. It's evidencing that you're doing what you say you're doing. And that's where this really works together as a synergy. The management system shows where Jota wants to get to, what it's getting there, the objectives. This gives the data to prove those things are happening. So that becomes a really effective management system rather than perhaps where we see other, historically, more bureaucratic paperwork, just saying what you're going to do.
Yeah, no, I'd agree, definitely.
Yeah, and Geoff, you mentioned you had a really good point earlier about a system is making sure you keep the promise you make to a customer, right?
Well, without a doubt, if you start making false promises about delivery, you're just dead in the water. So your quotes have to be good. You have to quote a lead time that you know is achievable. So you need the scheduler to tell you that you've got capacity. You know you can deliver by that point. You need to know what you've got to order in terms of material. You know when it needs to come in. All those, there are so many steps where you can fall foul of meeting delivery if you're not careful. It's not just about the machining process. So as Paul said about obviously looking at areas to improve and so on, yeah, we touch on all those elements. So the two things really do work hand in hand to make Jota as efficient as possible.
And if you look back at Jota before, when you guys were quoting with an Excel spreadsheet or a document management system before ISO certification, I guess there are a lot of shops right now, machine shops and other businesses that are in that position where they've got the machinery made, they've got some machinery, they've got some great knowledge, expertise, and drive and perseverance, and they are aspiring or inspired to try and grow. But to be able to scale that business out, that idea, that seed, you need to go through different phases. And one of those phases is we've got to completely change the whole system, the whole set of procedures that we follow.
Yeah, and the thing with us, we sort of recognised and we had our sights that we didn't just want to be 4 machines, you know. It was very much the start of what we were doing. And we knew to grow that we needed a system. We needed procedures to follow. They were the first things we needed to put in place before we could start the journey. And I think obviously, 9-10 years down the line from where we started out, it's kind of shows that what our vision was and the things that we have put in place, it does work.
Yeah, and it worked, reliably, consistently, and that's shown in the consistent growth that you've had over the past 9 years.
I mean, we put a lot of hard work in to get there, don't get me wrong, it weren't everything systems. We put the hours in and done what we needed, but we needed them systems to control everything.
Get Geoff in and he'll come load a few parts up.
I was hoping so.
Stand me in front of a machine row and I'm going to look at it and think, yeah, it's a nice little fancy buttons that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll stick with the PC.
Which one's the on one? The hardest thing for me is always trying to find the open door button on a CNC machine.
I was just going to add, you asked about smaller businesses or businesses exploring this for the first time. Jota, they took this on board, they wrote a system that represented what they wanted to do, where they wanted to get, and they used a quality management system to help achieve that. And that PSL Datatrack is a really good tool to bring in the evidence. I think the biggest thing is don't see quality and as a separate, as something to run alongside or separately to your operational activities. Bring it in, make it part of it. That helps get the team on board. I think that's been instrumental as well from our perspective and from yours. And it's made the audits go well, it's added value, and it becomes a key part of the business rather than an administrative bolt-on that you have to have for certification.
Is there something that surprises you about when you work with engineering companies specifically or automotive companies? Is there something that surprises you about the complexity of the process compared to other businesses maybe? Because I think in engineering, like Geoff mentioned, there's a lot that can go wrong to hit that final delivery target.
I think there is a lot of detail, but we do find engineering companies actually have a lot of good controls.
Because
but the problem
have to do that just to be in
it's
business.
In Excel here, it's Word over there, it's shouted across the shop floor.
But they still do it.
Getting it all together into a framework where they can actually look at it and analyse it. So I think sometimes it's the overcomplication, it's this fear of the unknown. Actually, we find a lot of them are doing an awful lot of good. They're already a long way there to meet compliance, but they don't realise they're doing it. So we could go into a company and find they've got PSL Datatrack and they've got 9001, but the two aren't talking to each other, and that's a real shame for both because you can make life so much easier, get so much more value from it. I think the thing is they don't know the good they're doing and they don't know how it relates to the standard.
Yeah, absolutely. And quality is a focus of every engineering shop, because without quality, your customers are not receiving parts that they can use. And you've not got happy customers then. So quality should be kind of the number one focus. And I guess once an engineering house gets to a certain size, that ISO certification becomes a necessity, doesn't it?
Yes, very much so. It will be a prerequisite to tenders. It will be the OEMs, your clients that just, if it's not there, you can't even put in a proposal. And it will be the framework to build on, as I'm sure Jota continues to grow.
It's improvement, isn't it? That's the main thing.
Is.
You want to improve. It's continuous improvement. Look at what you're doing, analyse what you're doing. Can we do it better? How do we put that in place?
That's 9001 in a nutshell, which is brilliant. If you do that, you're 90% of the way there. And I think that for companies to understand is it really is a tool for good. It will help the business. It won't just be an extra piece of admin.
I think it's key to what you were saying earlier to me, Paul, about the fact that it's about picking out the areas to improve the business. So it adds value. Having the accreditation adds value to what the business does. It doesn't become, as you touched on earlier, a burden. It really adds value.
Yeah, you've got to look. It's not just the sales tool. We've got an accreditation. It's how do we improve what we're doing? How do we get better on what we're doing?
Certification becomes secondary to you actually taking on board the principles of it and continually developing the business. And if you do that, the certification audits are great because you're just showing your business as it is, as a business that's growing and developing. Nobody's perfect. They don't expect you to be perfect, but it's to have that plan, have that process in place.
Fantastic. Well, thank you guys for talking about the growth of Jota, talking about the technical partnerships with PSL Datatrack and AvISO, to help with ISO certification, to help with production control. That's resulted in an amazing story over the past 13 years, with Ryan starting off with 4 machines, bit of Excel, and a dream. And now we're here at this fantastic facility, with you guys making amazing parts day in, day out, with 17 CNC machines. Things seem to be running very smoothly as well, obviously, day to day. And so it's a great story to hear. And yeah, just I guess one final question is more about kind of the future. What's happening now in this new chapter?
Yeah, so it's all about the growth now. Before, it was very much the location we were. We just didn't have the room. We soon filled our premises up. We struggled with locating staff just in where we was in the world. It was quite difficult to find that talent pool. We took all that stuff on board, What do we need to do to grow to the next level? We need to be in a location where we can recruit. We need to have a facility that's fit for people to come to work for us. And yeah, we've got customers just wanting more from us. How do we push forward to the next level? How do we improve traceability, quality? How do we deliver more parts? And that's where we're at. And I think, maybe we're sitting here in 2 years' time and hopefully I can be telling you I've got 34 machines and this is where the journey's gone.
Absolutely.
But yeah, for now, that's where we're at and we're very much pushing forward.
Brilliant. Primed for the next chapter.
Exactly.
Perfect. So thank you very much for listening to the MTDCNC podcast here. We're in Hastings, right?
Hastings.
Yeah, here in Hastings from the Jota Advanced Engineering facility. Thank you again to the guests, Paul Stevens, MD of AvISO, Geoff Gartland, MD of PSL Datatrack, and then Brian Goodger, MD of Jota Advanced Engineering. I've been Rowan Easter-Robinson, and thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. If you want to find out more about what's happening in the world of manufacturing and engineering, visit mtdcnc.com.